Funerals actually take a lot more planning than I expected. With us using island cuisine for the first time, of course we were iffy, but once they came and showed us their service, their food, tasted their food and everything, we definitely use them again because their service and food is just awesome.
I'll ride with the horses, I'll swim through the sea, I'll climb to the mountain tops, won't you come follow me? I'll take time to notice all that I see, and after I've come so far, you know where I'll be. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. But life is a vision, that's how it should be. The world is a canvas, and the choices are free. At the end of the journey, where all is complete, they'll all wonder where I've gone, but you know where I'll be. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. Our dreams last forever, for all that we know. The roads come together, and that's where we'll go.
The Pampas,
and elite wish we go away.
because we are
real and direct.
no interest owns us.
And we have no interest but
The truth.
Together we are exposing
corruption.
Together we will reform criminal justice
Together,
we are fighting violence
against women and children.
We here at
Kandit
will shine the light.
on every corner of darkness.
Together, we are giving a voice
to the voiceless.
And forgotten.
stay lit.
Together.
Together,
Together.
together, together,
we are giving a voice to the voiceless and forgotten.
We are Kandit News Group.
Buenos Marianas and Micronesia, it's not my turn to say today's date.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get the plug. Good evening and welcome to Kandit. It is July 2nd, this Thursday evening. It's almost the weekend and it's almost your birthday.
No, it is the weekend according to, can I have the lineup? It is the weekend for Gov Guam and the federal government, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It
happy
is.
weekend to government employees throughout the island.
Well, I don't feel that because it's not a weekend for
Yeah,
us.
we're working tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're probably working on Saturday too. Anyway, so welcome to our studios here in Hagåtña, Guam, on the 7th floor of the DNA building. Breaking news in from Andersen Air Force Base before we get to our scheduled lineup. Effective immediately, Brigadier General Gentry Boswell, 36 Wing Commanders, directed the following measures in response to COVID-19. Andersen is implementing the following preventive measures to ensure health and welfare, etc. Service members, both permanently and temporarily assigned to Andersen Air Force Base, must limit travel to essential trips only. For example, grocery shopping, gas station, post office, pharmacy visits, transit to and from work, and individual outdoor exercise. Social gatherings are not allowed outside of immediate family household members. Installation access is restricted to mission essential personnel, Monday through Friday. All other personnel with privileges will have access Saturday and Sunday. Mission essential personnel are defined as the following: active duty military and United States Coast Guard personnel and their dependents, National Guard and Reserve on Title 10 orders and their dependents, members of 254 ABG or on AGR orders and their dependents, DoD civilian employees and their dependents, full-time contractors, AAFES and DECA employees. Social gatherings are not allowed outside of immediate family and household members. All personnel will take necessary precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Ensure social distancing with no person-to-person contact. Maintain a 6-foot distance from others at all times. No gatherings authorized outside and in individuals' immediate or family household members. Hold meetings and events virtually whenever possible and limit attendance to personnel who are vital to the mission. Do not conduct group fitness. The following activities and services will be closed, canceled, or operating under certain restrictions. The Coral Reef Fitness Center and Annex, the Teen Center, the Youth Center, the Meehan Theater, the USO, Gecko Lanes, Swimming Pool, Top of the Rock, information, tickets, and travel, and chapel services and activities. Oh, if they want someone to run their closed swimming pool, they can call Richard Ibanez. He knows how to run a closed swimming pool. All other...
No, I think that's a dirty swimming pool.
Well, it
not
was
a closed.
also closed, so...
Yeah.
All other Andersen Air Force Base facilities will remain open with the following caveats. The DECA commissary access remains... Oh, it's called the DECA commissary?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I just thought it was called the Andersen commissary. And then the exchange at Andersen is called the BX, right? What do they call the exchange at Navy?
Maybe exchange.
DECA commissary access remains limited to mission essential personnel who have authorized privileges Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. All other personnel with privileges will have access Saturday and Sunday. We're going to start seeing the videos of the lines again, right? That's people are going to send those. Patrons should expect longer than normal wait times. They're managing expectations. The facility is currently limiting the number of patrons in the store at this time due to health and safety requirements. We recommend bringing an umbrella, folding chair, and bottled water. Patrons are limited to 1 shopping cart per family and can only shop for personal use.
Wow.
Did you hear that, Chamorros with base access?
Only 1 cart.
Only,
1 cart.
Only for personal use. You cannot get the list to Auntie Bernice anymore. Please try to limit the number of people that accompany you. Those with disabilities may enter at 9:30 a.m. Commissary hours for the Manamku, those over 60 are 10 a.m. to 12. All other patrons are welcome to shop from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. The BX, The Shophead, and they don't call it the BX, they call it the basic exchange. Shophead and gas station access is limited to MEP, Mission Essential Personnel, who have authorized privileges on Monday through Friday. All other personnel with privileges will have access Saturday and Sunday. I think this is going to be great news for the local gas stations. You know, the gas stations outside of the base, because now a bunch of people are going to be restricted from gassing Monday through Friday, who would normally gas on base Monday through Friday. Oh no, I guess they could go to the National Guard place, right? Or they could go to Navy. Anyway, masks are required for entry. Consolidated support center services by appointment only. Library group activities are canceled. Education center testing services will be limited. Airmen and Family Readiness Center services will be limited. Chapel counseling services will be available upon request. All open facilities will require entering personnel to be subject to additional screening for COVID-19 symptoms. All open facilities may be limited to a single point of entry. No fitness assessments will be conducted during this period. Personnel will be given 42 days notice prior to being scheduled or rescheduled for fitness assessments. Please contact your unit fitness program manager regarding scheduling or rescheduling of fitness assessments. Additional information on COVID-19 can be found at www.andersen.af.mil. And then, oh gosh, there's even more to this. All right, the following COVID-19 mitigation measures have been updated and are effective immediately. People must continue to self-monitor for signs and symptoms, et cetera, et cetera. All military members must inform the 36 MDG and their chain of command if they suspect they are infected or have close contact with a person suspected to be infected. Civilian employees, contractors, and dependents are highly encouraged to inform the 36 MDG and their chain of command if they suspect they are infected or if they have come in close contact with a person suspected to be infected. All people will avoid crowded areas, avoid all social gatherings, excluding family or household members, and continue to practice social distancing. Taragi Beach will remain open. However, gatherings are limited to family or household members only. Only off-base essential travel is authorized. Et cetera, et cetera. Dining in at restaurants and bar patronage is strictly prohibited. Travel to Navy Base Guam for NCTS for work or recreation is allowed. Low transmission risk outdoor activities are authorized. Diving, water sports, cycling, etc. Military members not in compliance with these measures will be subject to Uniform Code of Military Justice action. Civilians and dependents not in compliance will be subject to barment from Andersen Air Force Base and civilian prosecution. This memo supersedes the others. So
We will
stuff
post
is
this.
getting real, huh?
We will post this on our page.
Yeah, we'll post this on our page. I don't need that anymore. Stuff is getting real because of, I guess, what some may be saying is a second wave. But we've seen an uptick in
Positives.
infections, right? But you know, my cousin Ray Gibson, sorry, this chicken is calling my name. My cousin Ray Gibson, he makes a point. He says, you know, the reason that we're seeing an uptick is because
They up the Annie.
yeah, there's a lot of
Testing now.
there's a lot of I've never had this rotisserie chicken before.
Here, just put it in.
Just put it there. This
Yes.
is like this was cheap. It was only $10.99 for this whole chicken at the Circle K in Sinahanya. I'm so sorry. We're talking about COVID-19, right?
Yes.
So there's been now over the past couple of weeks thousands of tests that have been administered to people, and less than 1% of those who have taken the tests have come out positive. The thing is, though, is that we're seeing what we just saw 9 confirmed today, 8 of them from the DLS laboratory, or all 9 from DLS lab. Fortunately, 8 of them were they had contact with people who already are infected. So that's not a community spread thing. But one of them is not known to have contact with someone infected with COVID-19. So that one's a community spread thing as well. Where was that testing?
I don't know. Jigo? No, today was Jigo.
So whatever it was yesterday, right? Because they're not testing I don't know. Oh no, it's DLS lab.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's private, right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not from the mass testing either then.
No.
Also, maybe there is really a problem. Oh, maybe this is what I'm sure Andersen Air Force Base made these decisions because these are, I don't know, for lack of a better term, draconian. These are drastic decisions that Andersen Air Force Base's commander just made. This is really good.
My mouth is so watery right now.
Have some. It's really juicy. So even though you like dark meat, right? I like the white meat.
Yeah.
And it's really juicy. Anyway,
James Howard says eat the skin.
I am. Of course, I'm a fat boy. Of course, I'm eating the skin. All right. Sorry, that went off of our lineup. The first thing on our lineup is today someone brought up, it was just as like, I think it was just in jest, asking if there's fireworks for the 4th of July. You know.
Did they call us back?
No, of course not. America's birthday. How old will America be? So our Declaration of Independence was on July 4th, 1776. So that's what, 24 into 1800 plus 200, so 224 plus 20. America is going to be 244 years old on July 4. And the governor did some proclamation about remembrance of liberation, the 76th liberation. I don't think she said anything about American independence. But let me just tell you, America's birthday is significant to me because she shares a birthday with me. So I've always been about America. I'll be like, what's up, sister? Thanks for freedom. So we were wondering, is GovGuam going to have fireworks? And we called the governor's office earlier today. The two people we talked to said they didn't know. Well, the first person we talked to transferred us right away to a number that wasn't answering. And then we called back, and that same person transferred us to someone who did answer. I think her name was Chantel or something.
Shamra?
Shamra?
Shamra.
Was it Shamra?
Shamra, yeah.
Okay. Luck of the Irish. And she didn't know whether it was going to be fireworks, but we already know the answer. But the specific question that we asked Shamra was, did the governor use all of the fireworks at that party that they had at Government House to pat themselves on the back?
For
was
a
it
good,
last?
negative, money-taking job they did for liberation.
That was last year, right?
Yeah. It was a negative.
Do you guys remember? Because, you know, we need to not forget things like this. It's not just that we want to make fun of stuff like this. It's that we just can't forget that this is the kind of thing that's been going on. Is last year, the governor's office, and they weren't even the ones who led it. It was the mayors. It was the mayors who led the liberation effort last year.
They said potluck, but the pictures show
Catered. It was catered. And we know for a fact that it was catered. And it was at Government House, and they didn't tell anyone. They didn't invite the public. It was just a party that the governor threw basically for her staff and her cabinet. And they were saving fireworks, right? Fireworks paid for by the government of Guam. And they decided to explode those fireworks for their private party that they didn't invite anyone in the public to. They didn't even inform people so that at least Messiah, the kids can be outside their houses and watch. If they live in Agana Heights or PD or Barragata or wherever, you know, Agana is visible from. And so now we come up to the 4th of July, America's 244th birthday. Not a peep out of our governor. And yeah, it might be, for some people, it might be just maybe a silly thing. But I think the more important thing to discuss here is the fact that she's used these resources for the betterment of herself, her staff, and her cabinet, where those resources could have been spent on a positive celebration at such a bleak time in Guam's history and in American history as we all go through this pandemic. That's all I wanted to say about that. Do you have anything to say about that?
No. Oh, yeah, I do. Just that we need all the, whatever happiness we can get out of this, you know?
That's why we make jokes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's at people's expense. But you know what? If it makes you laugh, why not? Ani says hi to Johnny.
Oh, hi, baby. I miss you.
Pretty good.
I know. You're making me malagro. It's so bad. Anyways, let's get into crime. We have a Daniel Paul Santos. I think it's Daniel.
It was just bad to worse?
Yes,
Okay.
bad to worse. Born in 1985, so he is 35 years old. Family violence. On July 1st at 12:49 p.m., there was a walk-in complaint. Earlier in the day, the victim and defendant had an argument at the residence in Santa Rita. While still arguing, defendant slapped the victim in her face twice.
Wow.
Victim then pushed defendant in order to keep her distance from defendant. Defendant then punched victim in the face and grabbed victim. Victim was able to escape his grasp and ended up on the floor. Victim then told the child that was present in the room to contact victim's mother to pick up victim and the children. Defendant then left the room and told the children present in the kitchen that he was going to kill himself. Victim then stated to pack her things and the children's things. Defendant became angrier, slapped victim multiple times, headbutted her, and threw her onto the bed.
Jeez.
Officer Olivia observed swelling to the victim's cheek and behind her right ear, redness on both sides of her face. Defendant admitted to police that he and victim were arguing, that he lost control of his anger, and that he slapped the victim in the face. When inquiring into the number of times defendant struck victim, defendant stated, "F it. Whatever she said, I did." Based on the foregoing, he is charged with family violence as a misdemeanor.
That's so before I took a nap today, I promised myself that I was gonna what's that?
No,
Oh.
I'm just...
I promised myself that I was gonna do that story and the headline was gonna be, we would bleep it out or censor it. F it. Whatever she said, it's true.
What did I do? Okay, next one is Gregory Pines. I hope that's how it's pronounced. It's Pynes. He's born in 1959. Family violence and assault. Mr. Pines got upset at the victim because there was dirty dishes.
I'm sorry. Sorry. It's not what happened to the victim is not funny. Sorry. It's the circumstances. I know it's terrible. It's not funny. Okay, go ahead.
It
Sorry.
says defendant became angry at her regarding dirty dishes. This happened a week prior to the incident being reported.
Okay.
He grabbed her hair and pulled her down to the ground. She also stated that defendant punched her face and arm so many times and recalled that the assault lasted about 5 minutes. Officer Magada conducted injury check of the victim and noted one dark brown bruising under her left eye, total dark brown bruising on her right arm, one dark brown bruising on her right shoulder, and one dark brown bruising on her left shoulder. Based on the foregoing, he is charged with family violence and assault because of dirty dishes.
Throw the dishes at his face.
I would have thrown it out the door. Or I'll be called the dozen. I'm the dozen girlfriend.
Inside joke.
Okay, here we go. Stephen Maton. Maton.
This is the bad one, right?
Yes, he's born in 1979, so he is 41 years old. Aggravated assault, criminal mischief, family violence, harassment, and disorderly conduct. This one's a pretty bad one. Mr. Maton, I don't even know how to say his name. Maton, right? Mr. Maton showed up at an apartment complex. He was told by the security guard. The security guard called the victim and said, "Someone's down here for you." The victim said, "You're not allowed here." So she thought that, the security guard chased him away. Well, when she was leaving, she noticed him coming over the fence.
Okay.
He enters because he climbs over the fence and he attacks her.
So he was intent on her.
Oh, yeah. He had a knife.
Wow.
He cracked the windshield or the window of the car that she was getting into.
Man, that is scary
he
stuff.
actually cut her arm.
When was she like trying to
push him, get away from him?
and she saw the knife or whatever? Wow.
Yes. She also stated that he swung the knife again at her stomach, but she wasn't struck. She further stated that Mr. Smith.
That's a victim.
Oh.
I think, yeah.
She further stated that the witness then reversed the vehicle and they drove toward the gate to check on Miss Thomas. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people involved in this magistrate's report.
Okay, yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Officer conducted injury check on the victim and noted a laceration to her right forearm and scratches to her left forearm. Officer also conducted a vehicle check. The passenger window was damaged and glass were scattered along the passenger and driver's seat. The officer interviewed the victim, who reported that at the same place and same date, the defendant requested a couple of times to enter the apartment, and she informed the defendant that he is not permitted to enter the apartment. The victim explained that she observed the defendant run after a blue vehicle. She stated that when she then locked herself inside the security guard post as the defendant tried to get inside. She also stated defendant was banging on the door yelling, "If you call the cops, I'm going to break this door down and kill you."
This is the security guard, right? That he's threatening?
Yes.
Jeez.
Based on the foregoing, aggravated assault, criminal mischief, family violence, harassment, and disorderly conduct.
Aggravated assault is a third-degree felony, right? Mm-hmm. And family violence is a third-degree felony?
Yes. Criminal mischief, third-degree felony. Yeah.
Boy, those charges, if he's convicted at trial, he can go to jail for a very long time.
Yes.
Well, we should probably cover that trial.
Yeah, there's a lot of victims
looks,
here.
And it also looks like there's a lot to this story that's, of course, a lot in the magistrate's report. Mm-hmm. But we should probably cover that. You know, we don't really cover too many trials. You know, I know that other stations to cover all of the drug trials and all that stuff, but we were pretty discerning about what crime stories that we report, mainly family violence, violence against women and children. You know, if there was any white collar crime that ever made it to a magistrate's report. Court. Yeah, but this is one of those things that I think that we should cover.
Okay.
Yeah, this seems interesting.
Okay.
So,
did you see the other? Did you see there was a lawsuit against John Fernandez today?
Oh, for what?
5 kids with disabilities.
Okay.
Is suing him for not providing education
During this time or in the upcoming school year?
during the pandemic, I guess.
Oh. So I'm interested. What are the details of it?
Here.
What are they like? I just want to know what they're saying.
It's Summer Fleck is the attorney that's suing him, and he's asking. Fernandez is asking for dismissal, saying nothing was open. The government shut it down.
So is it because how is education working for your kids right now? There are options for them?
Yeah,
right?
we go pick it up. We get to do it, and we can also do it online.
You can also do it online.
Yeah, and then the teacher says, if you want more, just let me know. I'll find more stuff.
Could it be like, you know how like some students with disabilities have a one-to-one aid? Could that be? I'm really curious what this is, because if it's online, there's like assistive technology. Maybe DOE is not providing assistive technology during this time. I don't know. This sounds like something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just read it today.
Well, while you're finding that, I thought the comments in yesterday's story about the opening of next year's school year was interesting to note. Cedric Maravilla says, have classes in, and he called it Micronesian Mall. In Micronesian Mall, there's a lot of kids there without parents every day. And I think he meant it as a joke, but Caritas S says, this is an excellent idea. There are a lot of venues and facilities which have largely gone unused in Guam, with greater square footage that would accommodate full classrooms. This would also provide much needed contributions and revenue streams to our small businesses who have buildings with no tenants. Of course, this should be carefully monitored to avoid conflicts of interest and malfeasance in awarding contracts. Jesse Mendiola, our brother, says, the DOE board and education director have a very, very challenging time ahead. I wish them nothing but the best and pray God gives them the direction that is needed for the children of our island and their education. You know, Jesse makes a point that actually other people make as well about how difficult it was to come up with this plan in such a short period of time. And really it's not even just the courteous thing to do, but it just is, you just give credit where credit is due, you know? And in this situation, DOE needs to be given a lot of credit for putting something like this together. And not everyone's going to be happy, and I think that they recognize that, but this is a feat in planning that you don't see coming out of any other GovGuam agency.
Right.
Except, you know, maybe like GPA and GWA, but that's because they got their operations going in a very professional way. But for DOE, you know, that hasn't had to deal with these operational augments that they've had to do because of this pandemic, this was amazing. And considering they're the largest organization on this island and having to do it in such a short period of time. Michelle Miranda Camacho says, DOE will always be a failure in some people's eyes. You forget that these same teachers, planners, and management are parents themselves. The public has to trust that they didn't make these decisions lightly. Many long days of discussion and research went into this plan. It isn't perfect, and no plan is. Believe me, no plan is perfect. This situation is new for you, for students, for everyone. Teachers will be working harder with no extra pay. And that's actually a pretty big point that we should probably get Sanjay Sharma or Tim Fidenko on the phone to discuss the whole union aspect of this. The government doesn't have an unending supply of money. That's actually the point we're going to get to in our story. Everyone is doing the best they can. Try to see that they really are thinking of the best interests of the students and how best to help learning continue. If you have a better solution, then get involved. And Lucille Palomo says, Michelle, well said. Van Earl Lagutang says to include buying extra hygienic products for the kids to use. Lisa Sakaba Rages says, couldn't have said it better. Linda Borja says, let's hope it works and it's worth it for our kids. Inger Lise Hagen says, I'm not usually a huge fan of DOE, but the outreach that I've seen over the past 2 weeks to assist us in making the best choices for our children are amazing. I've received calls explaining options and received answers to my many questions. I hate this whole situation, but I understand that this time a huge effort is being made. It's not easy for any of us. And there are a lot of, you can look at these comments and they're very interesting comments and eye-opening comments.
You know,
that story.
the way they handled this and put everything together, they thought of everybody involved.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a parent and you're complaining because you don't have a babysitter here, you know, we all have to come together. This is something none of us expected. And, you know, get involved.
Yeah.
Get involved. Here's your chance to get involved.
Pam Duvall says they did it in record time. Kudos to DOE. They were even providing computers for students.
So 5 students with disabilities this week sued Guam Department of Education Superintendent John Fernandez, stating Fernandez failed to provide education services guaranteed by law.
Okay.
Fernandez asked the court to dismiss the lawsuit. This is off of Guam PDN. Okay.
But did they explain it?
Attorney Daniel Summerfleck, representing students, stated that Guam DOE gets federal funds under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act to provide an education for every child with a disability and provide services included in their individualized education program, and Fernandez, as superintendent, failed to meet that obligation. Students have individualized education programs, or IEP, which stipulates they are to receive extended school year services for 4 hours a day for 4 weeks, according to the lawsuit. Summerflex stated, with the new school year set to start August 11, to obtain the 4 weeks of additional instruction, the extended school year services must start July 13. The lawsuit was filed on Wednesday.
So is it damages that have not even occurred yet? Oh, so he's filing for an injunction to augment the current plan? Is that what it is?
He wants something to start.
I wonder why he didn't just talk to John Fernandez about the problem. Or maybe he did. He tried to, and
he says there is no basis to assert that the public schools cannot provide education services based upon the plaintiff's IEP. when in fact the governor created an exception for a pilot program to assist in the opening of schools in Executive Order 2020-20. NACIS disagreed. This is glaringly untrue. NACIS stated the executive order doesn't permit any Guam DOE public school to open, he stated. Summerfleck asked the court to order Fernandez to provide the students.
Interesting. I wonder what else is, because that story's not revealing, like,
What's really going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually a little confused after hearing it. So maybe we'll try to get a hold of John Fernandez and Dan Summerfleck about that. But as
The chicken's good.
yeah, it's pretty good. We should probably save some for Eric and Johnny Girl.
They're not hungry.
Oh, they're not?
No,
Why?
I'm just kidding. I'm
Oh.
kidding. I just want one more piece.
So that's actually not the only good thing that DOE has done. And huh?
Oh, I'll save that for you.
That's not the only good thing that DOE has done. Apparently, they came out with a news release about an audit that they received. And for the 7th consecutive year, a clean audit that has no material weaknesses identified. So they got good marks for having a clean audit and all that stuff. But the part I want to focus in on, so as DOE is trying to do all of this stuff, these unprecedented things, you heard one of those comments about funding. Doing it with less funding. And that should be frustrating for parents and for teachers and, of course, for DOE because, while education is supposed to be the number one priority.
Everyone says education is their priority.
It's supposed to be number one. When it comes time to giving public schools money, it's just not number one. As a matter of fact, it is a low-level priority in the budgeting process. And you see that translated. This isn't just conjecture. This comes out of their financial statements. So according to this, GDOE closed 2019 with an $8 million decrease in net position compared to the restated $15.8 million decrease in FY18 as shown in its department-wide financial statements. On its governmental fund financial statements, GDOE closed the year with a $1.5 million fund deficit, primarily due to the perennial cash shortfalls in its local appropriations. GDOE's appropriations through the general fund totaled $249.1 million in FY19 compared to $251.9 million in FY 2018, or $2.7 million less than the previous year. Had it not been for the decrease in appropriation coupled with a cash release shortage of $2.6 million by the Department of Administration, GDOE would have experienced an increase in revenue of $5.3 million. Now, this decrease, this deficit fund position that DOE's in, you have to remember, DOE doesn't control the cash from its budget. It's the governor who basically tells DOA, release the cash that matches the budget allotment to DOE, and because the cash wasn't released, they find themselves in a hole. And because their budget also has been slashed from year to year, indicating, of course, the low level of priority that DOE is to the politicians, they've been in a predicament. So on top of starting their every budget year with not enough money to sustain their operations and having to deal with scaling back, whatever, basically compromising on your children's education so that they can meet the measly budget that the legislature provides to DOE. On top of that, they then have to worry about not getting the cash to meet the budget because the governor has decided not to give DOE that entire budget. And then they come out as the shining, bright beacon of, inspiration agency throughout this pandemic. They're the ones performing. They're the ones who are making sure that there's a future for children. And
Our future.
yeah.
Guam's future.
And an audit says they're doing good, they're okay, if not for the local government screwing with them. It's I don't know. You have any comments on that?
No.
Let's see if others have comments. Well, I can't see it because I got off of it. Sorry.
I
All
think
right.
I'm like that too.
So we're gonna our top thing tonight is a discussion that we've been meaning to have for quite some time. Actually, it was since June 24, and June 24 was the day we started receiving a whole lot of messages, videos, pictures of Governor Ralph Torres taking his brothers, his family, other high-ranking people in the Commonwealth government and in Commonwealth society from Saipan to Pagan and other northern islands in the Marianas. And it is related to a YouTube blogger by the last name of Arrington who has this show called, is it Deer Meat Hunters? Is that what it is?
It's called.
Yeah. Oh, in this picture that you see now, I think that's Victor Torres, who's the governor's brother and an attorney over at the Commonwealth. And there's others in there. What's it called?
Stand by. Let me check real quick.
So these pictures that they're taking on this trip, that is by and large government funded.
Deer for dinner.
What is it, Deer for Dinner?
Yes.
That's the name of the Arrington show. Is that Arrington on the left side?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
In this largely government-funded expedition, vacation to the Northern Islands, you just see a whole lot of fishing, a whole lot of drinking, a whole lot of laughing, while the people of the Commonwealth are back home suffering, waiting for their unemployment. And as I understand it, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands is now the last territory to receive unemployment. They haven't even received their unemployment yet. Meanwhile, this expedition, this vacation to the Northern Islands, there's the governor right there in his Governor 670 extra large jersey. Aboard some of these vessels that you see, and I think we have pictures of that too. You're going to see Department of Public Safety jet skis purchased with federal funds. The fuel to fuel some of these boats.
He might even
Government
get the
funded.
receipts. They'll fill it, and then he's going to use the receipt to get
Reimbursement.
reimbursed. Yeah, and say he's the one that filled it.
So the people of the Commonwealth, if this trip never happened, then the story would just continue to be, because this is what happened. This is as this trip was happening, the people of the Commonwealth are suffering. Many of them are, at least, because they are out
Paychecks
of
needed
money.
to be signed. Overtime paychecks for first responders needed to be signed, and it wasn't.
How come Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios didn't sign it?
They said they had to wait for the governor. Yeah.
My goodness. Look at that. Look, they are still the one, and they're still having fun. My goodness. Get the soundtrack to Orleans up in there. And in these boat rides. There was also a talk that Senate President Victor Holka was on this expedition and returned early because he was just a bit tired. Oh, is this the deer thing? Are we able to turn up the volume here, or is there a copyright issue? Let's hear what this Arrington guy has to say, because there's another angle to this whole thing.
Because this is no set. This is real life. Right behind us is a pin, and they're holding, I think, 5 or 6 deer right now. 4? There's 4 deer in here right now. 2 bucks and 2 does. Last year, they had a massive typhoon come through and wipe out everything. This was an actual acting farm. When the typhoon came through, it wiped everything out, and they don't have the resources to keep these deer healthy anymore. So they reached out to me and my team. We're gonna come here, figure out how to catch them, put them into this crate, and then we're taking them to Pagan. Pagan is an island, 4 islands north of here, totally uninhabited, and it's got the perfect habitat for these deer. This is Mr. Tony Benavente. He is the Secretary of Land and Natural Resources. Yeah, amazing guy. You're the one who roasted the pig with us on Rona. Wonderful people. Over the past couple years,
Okay, so my mom is watching, by the way. Hi, Mom. I love you. Thanks for giving birth to me. And I think you had a C-section, right? Because I normally bring suffering and destruction to people's lives. So as I entered this world, they had to cut my mom so that I could come out. And, the gay jokes, you know, when I was younger, you know, like, hey Troy, have you ever?
Yeah,
I know
never.
that you've had at least one, or you've seen one. I'm like, nope, not even one. I was born from a C-section. Thanks, Mom, for taking that cut for me.
No, you knew you were, since you were in the stomach. You're like, I ain't coming out. I do not. I want to come out the other way and not down that way. I am not going down that way, Mama.
My dad has this. He had this super not funny joke about why I'm so light skinned.
What?
He said, son, you know why you have such white skin, right? I said, no, Dad, why do you have white skin? He said, because when you were coming out and it was the 4th of July and all the fireworks started happening and you got so scared that you turned white. Thanks, Dad, joke. Thanks. And then I asked my dad why I'm named Troy, because, you know, people, there's a significance to their names. Like, you're named Johnny because your dad is Johnny. That's a beautiful thing, right? Eric, why are you named Eric?
My dad was into Vikings.
Okay, so see,
the red.
that's a great thing. I thought that my dad named me Troy after a great city that antiquity was built upon. You know what his reason was?
What?
It was the first T that I could think of.
Because your dad's
Tomas. Yeah, love my dad. And when he died, so it's my mom and my stepmother. Yeah. So thanks, Mom, for watching. So I don't know if you caught the part of that Arrington thing, the guy that was talking about the deer. He said, we are going to bring these 4 deer from Saipan and bring it over to Pagan where there's no deer. And they think that that's a good thing. No, that is the definition of an invasive species. And someone commented, I think it was in the Speak Up Tao CNMI thing. So someone made a dumb comment about like, oh, that's good that they're going to populate the island with deer and you guys don't know what you're talking about because that cannot be an invasive species if it's already in Saipan. And someone said, that is not how ecology works.
Wow.
And I don't know how many federal laws they're breaking by doing this, but they are breaking these laws front and center, you know, for the world to see and for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I really hope that they're paying attention to this. First of all, how did they get 4 deer past the Coast Guard and whatever customs enforcement that is? How did Fish and Wildlife not flag this? How is it that they allowed, and it was 2 male and 2 female, so they're going to populate that island.
Mm-hmm.
What
they
in
are.
the world were they thinking? Oh my gosh.
So there's no deer on Pagan.
I guess not.
Wow.
Why are they handling the deer like that?
To put them in the cage.
Apparently, he's some sort of expert. He's telling
That they lick their lips because they're gonna fight. Yeah.
They probably made deer Kelaguen for him, right?
Let's just let him settle down.
Man, that is some good stuff.
It's okay.
Kelaguen Bambi. But
I ain't sure
just
how
the
this
fact that
happened
it's
so well.
Bambi, just I
But we got all
cannot.
4 of them.
I know.
I cannot.
here.
Like, I will eat a pork chop, but I will not eat a pig from a table. Because it's not the same thing.
Boy.
It is just not,
Good
you
work.
know? If it is on a styrofoam
high
plate,
fives all around.
right?
My man.
If it's on a styrofoam plate, that ain't a pig. That's a pork chop.
Brotherly hug.
Whoa. All right, now we gotta let everyone settle down. Take these
And
bricks
where's
off so
that
they're
pork
not
chop
hanging.
Ralph Torres? He's not in this video?
He's in the end.
Is it the end?
It's the end. I don't think he could run and catch. He could not
He
be in that scene.
cannot.
He could
He
not.
can eat the deer.
There he is.
There.
Crap. We're gonna head out this morning. This is Governor
You see him?
His boys.
How can you
We
not?
got
He
a
looks like
whole
Amanda Shelton.
team going up to take care of this. Now, anytime I travel,
So yes.
Okay, you know what? So there are so many. Rome is burning, basically, right? To take that old adage.
Mm-hmm.
And the governor of the CNMI decided that he was going to take a freaking vacation expedition to populate Pagan and wherever else with deer by bringing invasive species.
Is he the
over.
governor of Pugin?
Yes, he's
Oh.
the governor of the Northern Mariana Islands, and so yeah, that's all part of it. I don't know how many laws have been broken. Does the Torres administration even care? And let's find out more about this, and also a proposal to tax pandemic unemployment assistance over in the Northern Mariana Islands by speaking with Congressman Ed Propst, who has some strong feelings about all of this. Oh, I don't need this anymore.
But I'm scared I'm gonna slip on it.
I'll pick it up. I mean, that would be really funny and all, but don't worry, Troy, I got you. Hi, Congressman Probst. This is Johnny, Troy, Eric, and Kandit Land.
Hi.
Hi. Are we catching it at a bad time?
No, I can talk.
Okay. Thank you for taking our call. You know, our audience is very interested in your thoughts on Rome burning and Caesar taking a trip to the Northern Islands. But before that, we understand that there's a proposal, or there's some sort of suggestion to tax unemployment benefits, and you are very much against that. Can you tell us more about that?
Local tax, local.
A local tax, yeah.
Yeah. First of all, good evening, and thank you for calling. Sure, I'd be happy to share with you and our the Marianas, Guam, and CNMI what's going on. We recently were told, a few of us in the House, about the proposed legislation to add an additional tax to the unemployment assistance, the pandemic unemployment assistance. And it was very concerning because, first of all, well, I think you guys are on your third batch right now.
Yeah.
We are still waiting. Our people are still anxiously waiting for assistance right now, and no one has gotten their unemployment assistance yet. So we've had some heartbreaking stories from our constituents and everything. So long story short, they deserve this money. They've been waiting for it all this time, and they've been, trying to convince their landlords not to evict them, and just holding on for everything they can for the families. And so we want to make sure that they get every penny that they deserve. Of course, we understand that that there are taxes that do apply. What I am opposed to, and I'm fortunate I talked to the leadership and to my minority colleagues, what we are, pretty much everybody I've spoken to will oppose, is that any additional taxes that they are looking at imposing at the expense of our most vulnerable people, those who have been jobless, that don't have any income coming in right now. And there's been some misunderstanding, and it partly is my fault for not explaining it better earlier. But I did go Facebook Live to explain myself that I'm opposed to any additional taxes that on this unemployment assistance.
Okay.
So that's something that I cannot support and will not support. It's just it's like I said, the people that are suffering right now, they need as much, and they invested here. So why would anybody want to put on? It's just not right.
Now, Congressman, why are they saying that? Why is whoever's proposing it saying that the government needs revenues from these taxes? Is this to fund the deficit? What's going on?
Well, because the truth is, there's the CNMI government is very cash poor. We have very little money. Obviously, you've heard about all the furloughs that have been happening and continue to happen.
Yes, but at the same time, Congressman, the governor has gone on a spending and hiring spree throughout the years, but also during this pandemic,
Yes.
where his special people are hired or promoted or moved to different positions so that they will not be furloughed. And also, let's not forget the governor's personal spending habits using credit cards and receipts.
Yeah. Yes, it's very frustrating, and our people are aware of this. They're very frustrated, but like the thing is, for anybody to really talk about it, you say anything, you could be next. You could be the next person to get furloughed. I mean, it's very simple to do for them, right? With all this power that they hold. So they're concerned, and I understand why people are very afraid to speak out. But we do have people, that have been furloughed. There's no rhyme or reason or real system in place as to how they selected these employees to be furloughed. Because if it's about seniority, well, the seniority, if you have seniority, you should have been kept, right? So we have government employees who've been loyal to the government and worked so hard for 27 years that were furloughed. And then, what about attendance? Well, then we have several of them who have perfect attendance and they get furloughed. Okay, so what about merit? Okay, job performance. They have excellent reviews from their supervisors and some of them have awards and other things. So what is the deal? It's so confusing. And then you furlough certain people in departments and then end up advertising and hiring people, like Department of Public Safety is a perfect example. Furloughed some excellent police officers and decorated, highly ranked, lieutenants and other things, and then they advertise for positions to come back in. It just doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you look at those who were furloughed and take them back?
Yeah.
So it's very selective. Let's not kid ourselves. Obviously, it's very political, and then if we ever say anything about it, we're accused of being of grandstanding. What a bunch of crap!
Yeah.
Excuse my language. But of course, they can just say whatever they want and do whatever they want because they're in complete control.
Well, they are seeming to do whatever they want. We have Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios, who is in Saipan covering for the governor, essentially telling lies about payments of overtime, while the governor himself has taken literally a fishing expedition and invasive species distribution expedition to the Northern Islands. What are your general thoughts about Rome burning while Caesar is away?
Well, the honest truth is he's the governor and he can take a vacation anytime he likes. If he wants to go on vacation, that's his call. And it's up to the people to judge him if he decides to do so. The problem that I have is when you're using limited resources, financial resources that include federally funded search and rescue boats, at least 2 of them, a DLNR boat, the Querida. You have all of this money that's being spent from local taxpayer funds, and again, federally funded equipment, and so many things that are included in this trip. Now, if it's a promotional video that you want to do, that's fine. You can do it on your own dime. But at a time where people are literally being evicted, people are hungry, people are frustrated and angry, you're going to use precious taxpayer dollars to fund this promotional video or whatever, this expedition. Again, you want to do this, that's fine. But
And then on the other hand,
our limited resources, it is wrong, and just the optics of it are deeply upsetting. And let's not kid ourselves. I mean, people have been outraged by it. There's some who are willing to speak up about it, are not afraid, and they've been very vocal about it. But even people that can't really speak up have called me, reached out to me, and shared their frustrations with this. Some have shared what actually happened on the trip. I mean, you're looking at, we'd like to see the expense of all of this. Who's paying for all of it? Well, the people are paying for it. This is money that could easily go to other things. How about, I've been talking about those that are, hungry in our villages and everything. Not everybody in our islands qualifies for stimulus check or for, the pandemic unemployment assistance. Guest workers, they are so far haven't been able to get any pandemic unemployment assistance, and they say there's a problem with the law or whatever. But the bottom line is there's a lot of people that don't qualify for it, so they have basically nothing. We have when we're accused of not helping out, not doing anything. There's a lot of things that we do as representatives or as just just not us, but a lot of people in the community who help help others, who help those who are really in need. Whether it's opening up your food pantry to share whatever you have with whoever you can, and just going out and doing things for others. These are a lot of things that we're not going to advertise. We're not going to want to show somebody when they're really just hurting and and suffering right now, because if you want to do good deeds, it doesn't always have to be advertised and showing somebody that's really down on their luck right now and really hurting. But we do know, without a doubt, that there's so many people that need assistance. Imagine all this money that's being spent if it could be actually prioritized for our most vulnerable in our community. And like I said, I've said this many times. If I'm being accused, easy for Kevin Bautista, the press secretary, to shoot out and attack Senator Paul Milonia, myself, Tina, some others, and the senior political advisor and others, because it's very simple to do that. You can, anybody can attack whatever. Well, I've offered, okay, let's discuss our disagreements and let's debate it on KKMP, on any format. Let's really get down to it and talk about what is the best approach in moving forward. I can tell you right now, giving overtime to cabinet members and appointed officials who are already making a much higher salary than the frontline workers is not the right route to take. Especially when we found out it was illegal after U2, and we never got reimbursed for that from FEMA. Fact. So they want to spin it and say that, and attack us and say, oh, you're staying home, you're hiding at home, you're working from home, and all this crap. And we've been over and over it. You attack me and Tina, that's fine, but you're leaving out everybody else. 27 other members in the House and the Senate, because it's purely political. You didn't want to attack the Senate President and the Speaker, who were actually, the reason why they shut down the legislature was because they were concerned about everybody's health, as the governor was when he shut down and said to work from home. The Speaker and the Senate President who did this, they were doing it because they were concerned about the Legislative Bureau staff, ourselves, so they can work from home, do whatever you can. So we continue to have meetings through teleconferencing and other things, just like most people.
Well, Congressman, I don't think people expect you to defend yourself about that. I think people would see right through that because you were very vocal throughout this whole thing about the need for social distancing, the need to take a step back to protect people's health, and then at a certain point you became very vocal about accountability for the spending of federal funds, and then for the spending of local funds, and also for the furlough of employees. You and Congresswoman Tina Sablan have been very vocal about that. Some of your colleagues have even initiated hearings regarding the casinos. So Kevin Bautista and Robert Hunter and their attacks, I think people see through that as just plain politics from both those girls.
I certainly hope so, because it's deeply disturbing that at a time when they continue to say we have so many things going on, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to go ahead and add to it, because I'd love to debate Kevin, but of course he's too busy, whatever. Anyway, but
she's too busy defending the governor.
Kevin as an example. I'm just going to say it, but Kevin has been saying all this stuff that we, the minority, have nothing better to do but to look at doing this. And I'm like, who took a 10-day vacation? In the middle of the storm where people are suffering and in need. And he's literally, yes, he can take a vacation anytime. But if you're saying that we have nothing better to do, well, we didn't go out to the Northern Islands and use federal and local financial dollars, taxpayer dollars, to spend on that. We're not going and flying first class. We're not getting reimbursed for all kinds of spending. Are you kidding me? So
have you, Congressman, ever bought Cheetos on taxpayer expense?
Or chicken Vienna sausage?
Have you ever bought Cheetos at taxpayer expense, or chicken Vienna sausage?
I haven't gotten reimbursed for anything. I don't take an allowance. I don't do any of that stuff because, we're not supposed to be doing that stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if all of us would just focus on what's really important, which is being fiscally conservative, and like I said, channeling all our resources, our federal assistance, into helping, and I keep saying the most vulnerable. These are the people that are really suffering. I was trying to assist the gentleman and help him with regard to his landlord, who was on the verge of being evicted. And fortunately, he was able to convince his landlord that, look, the pandemic unemployment assistance that I've been waiting for is supposed to come out in 7 to 10 days. So the landlord is giving him that extension, and thank God. But the things that we have to go through, the jumping through hurdles. Governor Leon Guerrero, through her executive order or emergency powers, was able to at least temporarily suspend evictions in Guam.
Yes.
But here in the CNMI, the governor said that he's not able to do that. So, but he can stop people from barbecuing at the beach, stop people from walking on a sidewalk, and have all these unbelievable powers, but you cannot temporarily suspend the eviction order. So he said you need to, do it through legislation. So the minority did that. We went into action. We met with Speaker B.J. Attow and our friends in the leadership and worked with them. And it was a bipartisan bill. We passed it unanimously. It is now in the Senate. And the concerns from landlords, we listened to them, we heard them, and we incorporated it into the bill so that it is really something that can work for everybody. It's not a perfect bill. There are some concerns that everybody will always have. But the worst thing that could happen during a pandemic, when they're still waiting for the pandemic unemployment assistance, is to kick everybody out of their apartments and homes and everything and evict them, and then they don't have any place to stay, and then they're homeless. How does that help us in a pandemic? It doesn't. But the fact is, they can sign promissory notes and work out details with their landlords, and they will still be obligated to pay that. The only difference is we're going to wait until they get the pandemic unemployment assistance so that they cannot have to be evicted. Why is that a bad thing? Why do we have to go through so much difficulty in getting this done?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the crazy thing. This is a fact. I can tell you this without a doubt, that if there was a law that we had that said nobody, no government employee, no elected official or appointed official can get paid until the pandemic unemployment assistance is actually paid out, and it goes out to the recipients who really need it, and only then will they be able to receive their paychecks. I can assure you that money would have been out.
Hey, they should do that law on Guam.
I'm sorry?
They should do that law on Guam.
They should do that law here, because then we would be like all working together and saying, look, we all need to get paid. Let's make sure we are. Let's make sure they get paid. Everybody gets paid. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is, though, and this is what I didn't want. I didn't want people to, be so upset because these are frustrating times, and put all the blame on the Secretary of the Department of Labor and the employees. Mm-hmm. The fact is they are short-staffed. There's no doubt about it. They are limited. But they could have had more assistance. That should have been a priority, since the governor, has done such a fantastic job on so many fronts. He should have said, well, you guys need more employees, let's shift it. Those who have been furloughed, we're going to channel them there. You can train them and help others, in filling out the forms, moving things quickly, whatever they need. Yeah. And then get volunteers. I mean, that's what is really needed. If you need more manpower to really move this along, why couldn't we do that?
Because it cannot be your idea.
I'm sorry?
Because it cannot be your idea.
It can never be.
Right.
Because anything that it was the same example. I'm sorry to say this, but perfect example is our idea when we were saying when they shut down the stores and limited it to only 1 p.m. And we were very vocal in saying, please do not do this. By limiting the store hours, you're having so much congestion. And what was happening during a pandemic? People were shopping in that very limited time, and the stores were jam-packed. And we said, let common sense prevail. Please, Governor, do not limit the store hours only to 1 p.m. because it's crazy, congested. And he wouldn't budge. And then he finally did, because there were some more cases and other things, and there was a lot of people getting upset about it, and he finally did. But he didn't say, wow, you guys, you're absolutely right, because we can't do that. You can never admit that somebody was actually right about something, because it would take humility. But we've been saying that for the longest time. We were saying about controlling and screening and all these other things, but of course that's not mentioned. We were talking about the concerns before the coronavirus ever even came here. We had the meetings with CHC. We were embracing the science of it all. And yet the minority is shunned, that we are basically going to be silenced because we don't want to give them any sort of credit or any, except that they actually had some decent ideas, right? So when they talk about being political and grandstanding, all I want to do is show them the mirror and say, who's grandstanding? Really? You really want to go there? So it is deeply frustrating. Tomorrow, I'm just going to throw this out there, but so one of the things that we've been working out, and there's some really great people in our community, some wonderful people who we got some canned goods that were donated for helping out our people, and we discussed it with some friends, and so tomorrow morning we're actually going to set up in front of Dan Middle School. We have 20 small bags of rice, and I think about 60 bags that my staff and I were putting together of canned goods. And it's called the Giving Table. And essentially what it is, no judging, no nothing. You can come and take what you need, leave what you can. And if other people are passing by, they want to drop off non-perishable goods, canned items, they can do that. The whole point is that we don't want to judge anybody. We don't want to have anybody fill out any form or whatever. It's basically, are you hungry? Do you need some help? Do you need some food? This is not much, but it's something that can help you out.
Yeah,
we're planning on doing this on every Friday, as long as we are, whatever we get in terms of donations. So my staff, what little we have, myself, my wife, we've donated stuff, other people that have given us stuff, and we've put, like I said, these little care packages together. And it starts tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We're going to set it up at the bus stop with my table and the goods there. And like I said, it's going to be first come, first serve. People come, and then once it's gone, it's gone. And if others come and give, then we'll put it back on that table and at the bus stop. And so it's just something that we were hoping to try out. And if it works, we're hoping that others would follow suit and maybe do it along their street, right, or in their village, and have more accessibility to these little things that could help out a family. It's small, but it's something.
Yeah.
And at a time where people are literally getting nothing. So
well, maybe you can ask the governor and Robert Hunter to pass out some of that fish that they were catching during their expedition. Because it looked like a lot of fish.
You saw that massive grouper, yeah. Again, I had friends that went on that trip and everything, and that's fantastic. Again, you guys want to enjoy yourselves, that's fine. You take leave, or again, governor's entitled to take a vacation anytime he wants. But how much was spent on this trip? And if you're telling me that $100,000 was spent on this, imagine what $100,000 would have done in helping out the neediest families on Saipan. Yeah. I would rather that money be channeled to helping them than working on a promotional video. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel.
We should have blocked that guy and ask him to donate to the needy.
The Arrington guy?
We should have asked the Arrington guy, would he like to donate to the people of Saipan?
He can. I know he's made at least $59,000 for this trip, and he's a well-off man, very popular and very charismatic. And I watched the guy, on his channel. He has 2.3 million viewers, and we've had some discussion and debate as to what is the actual payoff on this in terms of who is going to be actually coming, to the CNMI, because as awesome as he is, and the fantastic things he does that are very enjoyable to watch and entertaining. He did a video for Rhoda last year. How many people came out to the CNMI to how many tourists came out and said, well, 2.3 million viewers, how many of them came out to Rhoda because they saw that video? I'd like to see the numbers on that. But so they're saying that this is going to boost ecotourism and bring tourists to the Northern Islands. Okay, so based on what? What factual evidence do you have on this, to do this? I'll tell you something that was actually asked. That we have local video producers, professionals locally, who were asking me, saying, Ed, why couldn't we be hired, to do these kind of promotional videos. We have the equipment, we have the resources, we have the heart and the drive. We don't have any business right now because of the economy. We would have loved to even do it for a fraction of that to help feed our families. How come we didn't think about doing that? MBA, gave out $159,000 or whatever it is for this promotional video. Why didn't we think about local vendors who could actually do that type of work as well? And if you're saying that it's because they don't have 2.3 million viewers, well, if you invest $159,000, you invest maybe even $30,000 for them to do the video and to go out there and do this work and stuff, and then you spend the rest of that on actual advertising. How is that any different? Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put down anybody because this was a very fun experience, and there were a lot of people that really enjoyed themselves. But again, at what expense? That is the concern. Every time we look at something when we're spending things, like whether it's overtime for cabinet members or $15,000. One of them made $15,000 already in overtime. That's the salary of some of our frontline workers with the reduced hours for an entire year, and they made that just on overtime alone. I mean, the disparity between it. We always hear about it and read about in the United States about the rich, the uber rich, and the poor who are just being ignored. Well, look at what's happening in the CNMI right now. I mean, quite honestly, I really feel that if we really want to make a difference, if we really want to help out our people, then let's focus on those who really need the most help. You know what I mean? That's where our focus should be. Not on ourselves, not on getting overtime, not on making a lot of money, and everything, because how much is enough?
Congressman, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We very much appreciate your thoughts on this, and we hope to hear from you soon on other things coming up.
I thank you guys for all you do. Whenever KUAM News or anybody wants to talk about the issues, I'm always happy to do so, and I appreciate you calling. I hope you're able to get an audience with the governor or others who would like to be on your show and talk to them as well. We all should be able to express our differences of opinion. They should be able to do so as well. I welcome it because we can't always agree on things. But I appreciate you guys going out and sharing this type of information, even though I'm going to get a lot of hate mail, probably a bunch of trolls who are going to attack me tonight, but it's okay.
You have a good night, Congressman. Happy 4th of July.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye. All right, well, that's a wrap for our show tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow morning for Kandit News. I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
Good night.
Good night.